Hello, welcome back. Part 2. Let's talk about some things. Let's have some fun. Boy, I hope people watch this. There's nobody here. I'm so alone. All right, whatever. Okay, let's check in. Let's do this. We will have some fun. I hope you learned something again. First things first. Stay organized. Let's check that out. Here's the biggest reason. Stay organized. It doesn't save you time. It saves you money. I'm not kidding you. Like if you're an organized designer, whether you're working for yourself or somebody else, the more organized you are, it will save you time, but that time turns into money. And it not only in money in the case because you're not spending time looking for stuff, you're spending more time being creative. You're spending more time just working rather than looking. I've seen it. We've all seen it. We've all done it. We've had that desktop. I should make you all send me a screenshot of your desktops. Mine's clean. I can't show you the one. Well, this side's clean. I got too many stuff up. But I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 items. One can't be removed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are folders. And the other ones are going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items are going to get removed today. And that's from my desktop. I don't keep crap on my desktop. I create folders and folder systems. And I'm not kidding you. Once you start doing this and you start saving in the right folders, or once a day, I wouldn't even do it once a week because you'll end up spending an hour pushing things around and then links won't work. But spend the time to start creating, like I got a project day. My working files are in 1, the support files are in 2, the images are in 3, research, and figure out what works for you. When I worked at the other company when I was art director, they had no file system. And what happens is we shared files. People would work on a project and then they'd have to trade that project to somebody else, or they would be gone or something would happen. And it was once you left the person's computer, nothing worked. You know what I mean? Like support files wouldn't work, or links wouldn't work, all that kind of stuff. It was such a pain. And we didn't know how anybody was saving stuff. And I finally said, stop, we gotta make a structure. Everybody needs to follow this structure. And my poor joke at the time was, what if so-and-so gets hit by a bus and we have to work on everything they're working on and we can't figure out what they have done? So we developed a system, and it would be like project A was usually a working number. We got a project number. So no matter what, we could search we had servers, shared servers, but you didn't always have to share on the server. But you could go to that person's computer and search like that job number, and it should have pulled up their job, that folder. And then in that folder, you have your working files. The working files are the files for me that I am working on that are the main files. So InDesign files, Illustrator files, Photoshop files, depending on the end product. But it was the design file that it was being used that would go to the printer. That's the working file. The support files are all the other little bits and pieces that you would build into it. Support meaning like, I made some icons. Okay, so I keep those in the support file. So when I'm working on something, I need to adjust something I made in Illustrator, I know where to find it. I showed you like file folder AI. That's where I keep these file folders. I made a file folder in Illustrator, and where do I keep it? Well, it's in the support for the working file for this project. Images. Where do you throw all your images? Boom, boom, boom. They all need to be in place, and you can get them to always then link to all 3 images. Don't just throw images onto your desktop and then you use them and then you're going to move them and they're going to relink them. It's really good to just kind of start and know where everything is. That's the biggest one. Like, oh, I can't find that file. And I don't hear it as much as I used to, but it'll be a 6 weeks or it'll be another semester. And somebody's like, oh, I couldn't find any of the files. When I teach that portfolio pathway class, I couldn't find any of the files I started with, with the semester. I'm like, well, what'd you do with them? And they'll go, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Just throwing stuff away. Like, why would you be like, I don't ever need this again? So, this is project, and all these are in there. I have a place for images. I have a place for research. That's usually like crap I grab from the internet. Like, I do a screenshot of a bunch of other things, and I just put in research. I can clear that out whenever I want, throw it away. I know it's not used. It's just for me. Fonts. What if I download a bunch of fonts and I move from one computer to another computer to another computer? Instead of me having to find that font on the internet, like I do with your assignments, like I'll open that and it'll say you're missing this font, and then I'll go on the internet and then I find where you got the font and I download the font and I open the font, and then I can open your file and I can make changes. Like, here it is, the fonts, they're all right there in a folder. I know you're gonna be like, but when you package InDesign, it comes with you. That's only in the packaging when you go to the finals, which is here. But it's always good to have those fonts, because every once in a while, what's going to happen. You're going to be like, oh, it's been like 5 years. I need a new computer. You're going to move over all your files. Fonts don't always travel to that new computer, but they do if they're in a folder. Sorry, I was drinking some tea there. Took longer than I thought. So, your main fonts, or if they're really weird, like they're fonts specific to a client, you keep them in there, and that way you know where they are. You're not trying to look for them, find them, all that kind of stuff. Again, we're just trying to speed up the process of the what do we call it? Administrative part of your job. The administrative part of the work that you do, if that is very low, you have more time to be creative. And that more time to be creative means that you're going to make better work, which means you're going to make more money. It's not always about the time. It's about it's about having the time to be creative, to do better work, to get better clients, to get more money, is what it comes down to. So don't waste your time looking for files. Set up a system. Whatever works for you, set it up and use it. You're leaving me soon, right? You're leaving me. Some of you are happy. I'm sure. You're like, finally, last class with Joel. You're going in the 4th semester. Start to organize your file. I got this class, this class, this class, this class. You make a folder for that class. In that folder for that class, you have I have project, A or whatever they call it. And then project B, project C, project D. And you just kind of keep everything in a spot. That way, when you're going back and forth and you're working, you can find it. I can show you. Let's just show you. I even do it with the new system. This is home. I kind of hate the home page. You know why? It looks a mess. What it shows you is stuff that you recently worked on, but it's a mess. I go to my files and look at that. Every class has a folder. If you go into that class, I've got folders within folders within folders where I know where everything is. If I need to find something, I can find it. So when I go I need to work on 103 and I want to work on the designer files and I need to update CP Pinelli's, well, you know what I know when I go in Illustrator? CP Pinelli's is actually in InDesign. What do? Oh, okay, that's not a problem. I'll open up InDesign. Close that out because we don't need to save that. I'll go to my files, go to 103, designer files, CP Pinelli's, and there it is. I know where it is. And now it's all in the cloud as well, which is rocking. But I'm always a little bit nervous about the cloud. I don't know. What happens when it leaves? Do you get notification? I got to download everything. So do what you can. I got the files from my kids' crap at a school that I work on, general files. This is a mess, but I got advisory committee that don't do it. I got orientation, slides, all this stuff. All these I got to get rid of. These social medias I just got to throw away. All kind of weird stuff. But I know where everything is because I make folders and I keep it organized. Even with stuff like various notes. At least it's somewhere. At least I put stuff somewhere. Here's the crap file. Z, other stuff. I don't even know what's in there. Nothing for InDesign. Oh, what do I have in that? your files. Oh yeah, just like goofy. No, that's the Edison file. This is all this stuff is wrong. But you know what? Eventually I can delete it. But it's not hanging out. I don't have to look at it. It's all hidden. So stay organized. It will help you a ton. And you'll know where stuff is. Like, oh, I'm working on that project. I got to find something. Or there's something, somebody asked me about something. I got to find it. And instead of saying like, I'll get back to you, you can be like, give me 2 minutes. I know where it is. You give it to them, you're done. Your day goes on. And then you're not like, oh, I got to spend 30 minutes because an old client asked me about something that I worked on in the past. And now I have to go and find it. I don't know where it is. I don't know where I saved it. No, you do. You do. Because you saved it under that client's name. You know what the project was. You go and you find it and be like, oh, you needed version 3. And as a working model, I save versions, or I used to. I do it a little bit less now because versioning isn't as important. But when you're working with clients, you save versions each time you save the project, because that's proof to the client. You have backup proof that says, I have done X amount of versions of this project for you. Your price now increases. You've gone beyond a certain point. A lot of like, what a friend I work with, he's like, they get five revisions before I add on. And I can show them, here's version 1, here's version 2, here's version 3, 4, 5. They're all in one spot. They're not oversaved. So the client can't be like, no, these are, I only have one file. You'd be like, no, here, I have all 5. I'm going to show you what changed on each one. Look at these split. I've seen this in my past, like 30 versions. And the client's like, why did the price go up so much? You're like, because I made 30 changes. You are coming back every 2 days with changes. And so you have 30 versions and we have to charge you more. You're taking more time, you're taking time away. And it all stays in one spot. It's like your collection from that job. I have old hard drives, I guess, portable hard drives, just full of stuff before the cloud was around, but all versioned. I know versions and versions and versions. So start to work. For some people, this may be a little difficult if you haven't done it yet to kind of get in the mode, but here's the rad part. Do it once, set it and forget it. What does that mean? You can, new folder, and just call this base project. Okay. Then I open that, and then I'm going to have, like new folder, and this is working. Oh, I do love the number mine at the beginning because it does alphabetical order. So if you do 01, that way if you have 10 files, if you number with a number, just like 2, it assumes 2 is the first number in numerical order. So it'll move 2 over to 20, and it gets really confusing. So I always start with 01. Then you have working files, new folder, and then I'm gonna call this 02_assets, and then I'm gonna spell it right. Let's get that right. And then new folder, 03_images. I'll just do one more so I'm not wasting time. New folder, 04_ finals. Finals is where you put you outline everything. It's ready. It goes to print. It has bleed. It has crop marks. Everything is done. That's your finals folder. So when they're gonna be like, can you send us the finals again? You just go whoop. You don't have to open up working files, save it again, blah, blah, blah. Now you have the base projects. And then all you have to do is you can copy that. You can make a duplicate of it. It is, I think there, base projects. And I open it, all the same stuff in it. So I have a master file. I have a master working file on my computer. I keep it on my desktop. It's like one of the only things there. And when I get an assignment, I make a copy of it, rename it. Everything's in there. Boom, I'm working away. Didn't waste any time. Took me 1 second. I didn't have to create all these folders. I didn't have to retype anything. I didn't have to do anything. Easy peasy. So that's a great way to just kind of work, Stay organized. Know where all your stuff is. At the end of the day, you got a whole like desktop full of stuff. You open up. I was working on base project 3, and I got my images. You grab them all, you throw them in there, and you're done. So work smarter, not harder. Know that like if you're organized from the beginning, it's going to save you time from looking, trying to find, search, do all that stuff. And it lets you just, you know what, be creative. That's why we're all here, right? We all want to be creative, spend more time creating, less time doing the other stuff. That is why. That is why you need to stay organized. Food truck. All right. So I started on some stuff. I'm going to share that, and I'm going to walk through it. Let's do it. First thing, I went with Giant. I think I haven't worked on the Giant one. This is like brand new project. I've done a couple bite me things. I could try to show you. Oh, no, it's helping students. I can't remember if they're mine. But I did do just like a quick little search, and I typed in Giant logo and hit images. These are all the things I don't want to do. And oddly, a couple of these are Giant for food. Giant food logo. Giant food logo. But it doesn't matter. And I scrolled down. I'm like, oh, I'm so far away from these in my mind because I had started and then I did this. But this is always a good one. I mean, don't taco about it. It's going to be hard to find images. Let's see. But then you just be like, stay away from that. Or let's taco about it. I think it's about it. Oh, lots of them. So stay away from those. Let's not do a talking taco. Find something different. It's all the same. Everybody's doing a taco with a face. It's not hard to be creative. So do something different. All right, let's go through my design process of the sketch phase. Again, this is stuff I do just hanging out, sitting down, like, and then I've been doing it in between other projects. It's a little disjointed right now. I started yesterday, and then I was like, oh wait, maybe I should wait. And then I was like, oh, I don't know how good I can do it on the fly, but I can talk about everything I've been working on. All right. I started here, and I moved this way. And all this is thinking, and this is thinking visually out loud. I drew Giant. And my first idea was like, oh, a big G like this looks like a mouth. Then I drew another Giant, all uppercase. So I did upper and lower. Then I did all uppercase. And I was like, letters from food. That was just an idea. I did all lowercase. And I like hated this, but I think that ascender's too tall. I made it look like a D. I changed my A a little bit. I'm gonna add a little right there. Did all lowercase. I'm just looking at letters and how they form. Then I was like, oh, let's do like, I just needed the change. And I was like, what if I did really like long and baseline letters? What do they look like? You know, I can kind of do some stuff like this. And I was like, oh, you know, I've done this before. You know, you've seen me work on this before. And then I did this G and I put the AINT in there. It's like, okay, is that legible as a one thing? Oh, so this is why we do this work. Yeah. What if the G, I got to get it right. This is why. If it's almost closed, and then we did like, and it's like Giant. And then we do it again. And I'm thinking like a wheel because it's a food truck. Not great, but you know what? I got it out. And that's how all this works. This is what I'm showing. I wouldn't have thought about that at that time. And this is where that creativity comes from. Like, oh, this looks like, what do I do a wheel? You know, and that's the hub. And then somehow we make that a G wheel. I don't know what it would be yet. And then, you know, the letters on the side of like cool cars, though this is wrong, they all face the inside, be upside down. Like, oh, okay, there's an idea. There's another idea. We could do a wheel. Then I was like, what if they're all monsters? I stole this idea from a guy on the internet, Chris Piasek. Does awesome like illustrations, talks. He repeats himself a lot. I've slowly stopped watching him because all his videos are the same. But he does like these really great illustrations, and he uses like, he was helping me with Fresco and some of the things you can draw in Fresco. So that's where I started. Just drew it once, wrote it out. Consider this a piece of paper. This is my paper now. I draw digitally because I can keep it all in one spot. And I know when I open it, because I'll put it in the folder. It's called Food Truck, and it's in 142, which is the course number. And then I'm going to make a folder that's going to be called Food Truck, and then this will be inside there, so I'll know where to find it. So next time I want to work on something, I know exactly where it is. Sometimes I like make these pages, and then I end up multiplying courses. Like I'll do 103 and 142 all in the same course. All right, so this is just a start, and I got a new idea. Then I started to play around a little bit more. Every once in a while I screw up and I draw on the base layer, which I hate. Edit, fill. All I'm doing is adding a white background. Okay. To a new layer so it doesn't go over my drawings. Playing around. I was trying to like here, I don't know, like just playing with shapes. Like what, you know, that lowercase g, am I on the right layer? Get too excited. Does that correspond with this one? Hold on, give me a second. Because a lot of what I do then is sometimes I'll draw and then I'll draw on top of it again, and I'll draw on top and draw on top, and then sometimes I don't. So here I'm just like playing with the G. Like, can I make the G look like something? Here I didn't write it down, but this is to me like a skateboard. But I was like, no. And then all I did was like curves. I was like, this curve, the A, everything's curving. And it's just like a theme on the way to write it, but it didn't do anything. Here, G-I-A-N-T. I don't know, I don't know what I was thinking. Like somewhat of a circle. Can you read it? Does it make sense? Then I came back to this, you know, like, oh, what if each letter is a food product? I ran out. I got pizza and burrito. This is my think of other food. I was like pizza slice. And then the problem with this one is what? It's just Pac-Man. And then I don't know, G-I-A-N-T, like it's completely wrong. I started working with this tall G. I think it corresponds to here, where then I went, and this is, again, like, this is like the wheel. So I started with this tall G. And I was like, all right, we'll make something. Here's the burrito I. I'm like going big letters. I'm like, I don't know what I'll do. And I drew this weird T. And I was like, oh, what if that is like an upside down, like mustard container? And then it was squirting. And I didn't even think at the time to do this. And then, you know, you could put a big G, upside down G. I think that's correct. I don't know, I'm drawing upside down. And then I was like, oh, we could have a ketchup and mustard squirting out the word giant, or go one up and just have a dog and the giant is spelled out in ketchup or mustard. And this is all just, this is why I so highly suggest even writing notes and barely drawing. Like I'll call this barely drawing. These were like 5-minute, 10-minute segments. at a time when I get interrupted, do something else, come back, do something. But one idea will never lead to another, which goes to here, which then goes to here. So if I wouldn't have done this tall one, I wouldn't have seen this. And it wouldn't have reminded me of a squeezy container and stuff squirting out, and they put little drops. And then like, oh, maybe we get both going to a hot dog or a sausage. And then I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm still working here. And I was like, oh, okay, let's, like, I don't know what made me think of just circles and different order of circles. I actually really like these circles. Letters, I don't know if I can use them for some reason. And I was like, grapes. I'm like, grapes doesn't make sense. If I did that and it was like, but what does grapes have to do with this food truck? They're not giant grapes. I mean, I could do this and then like an exclamation point. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, but it's not, it's a giant food truck. Like you get a giant slice of pizza, like, it's a giant slice. Everybody draws generic pizza the same way, which is, a problem. Like, oh, but do I have that? How I just drew a piece of pizza. How can I make that a letter? Then I was like, like ordering these, and I was like, is there something like cooler I can do? This didn't work. Then it's G-I. See, this doesn't work because it's G-I-A-N-T. You don't end up maybe reading backwards. Where do you start? Where do you end? This turned into this guy for some weird reason. And I was like, oh, he's like this little giant, like weird guy. But that's just based off of this general shape. This is just working things out. I haven't spent that much time, but this is that creative process that I've shown you sometime. I've shown you how to do it digitally in the past as well, where you go online and you find like 50 different fonts. And you just start looking at those fonts and how do they arrange? How do you put them together? How do you move them together? No letter, like, this does not need to exist. You can do G-I-A-N-T. The problem is when we get in the computer and we type it out, it's all in a perfect straight line. And that's all we're looking at. But are we looking at the correlation of letters, how they fit, what can we make? There, I just made a mouth, hey? What if it was a mouth now? So, this is a grill. Okay, I gotta think quick. I just want it down. I need 5 letters. We have 2 front teeth. All right. And it's G-I-A-N-T. And we're going to do a tooth here and a missing tooth there. And then some teeth down here. Off. And I was just going to like sketch that in black. And there's the giant. And then, you form those out better. Like a little weird dimension. There you go. That's how this happens. Just playing around, looking at shapes, looking at how things interact. I drew this to this to this, made me think of jagged teeth, which made me come up with this idea. Yeah, like, and then now I want to be like, what about that? thing in the back of your mouth. So that's a little stereotypical and gross. That's hanging down your teeth. And then you got your tongue. Too much stuff going on then. That thing's too far forward. And it looks gross and like something else. I need to get rid of that. Reverse. But so at the beginning of this, don't do a deep dive. I would love to see a bunch of renditions. And then you give me like, in that first slide, you show me all these pages, you know, all the sketches you've done, and you highlight. I want to look at that one's a good one, this one's a good one, and this one's a good one. Great, show them to me. You know, like, and show you. People love to see process. You don't have to show them the exact process, but the idea should be quick and general and not finalized. We're going to do those 10 variations after we pick a version that we want. Then you go into it, and then like that one is where, like, if we did the dog, the giant dog, then I'd be like, okay, I got one version where I wrote it, you know, in normal letters, and then I'm going to figure out how to be like, oh shit, I don't know if I can do it. G-I-A-T. You know, like that would be another version. So it'd have a straight normal one. It'd have a cursive one. Maybe I'll do something, you know, with the drippy drips, you know, like here, and maybe then the bun, you know. And so like that's where I'm going to version out later. But right now, where the creativity is going to hit is here, and then in showing like just all your ideas. Like, look how far I came. I started with this. You know, I started just with this in mouth. Drew some of these things. So play around, play. It's about play. Don't think about, at this stage, it's not about going in Illustrator, InDesign, and just going like, I'm going to type out the letters and be done. You got to look at the whole process. You got to start fresh. I'm coming to you to be a creative. Show me something I've never seen before. Show me something in your own style. How can you do that? And bridge out. All right, I got one last story for you. I told you this would be a longer class. I hope people watch it. I was working on a project for my kid's school. I do his work on parts of his yearbook. And this is where it's coming home. I was messing around. I don't know if it's going to open because I think it's open on my computer at home. So this may screw things up. I needed a background. I'm doing this like crazy thing. They had all the kids and all the grades. Apply to or I'll ignore. Stand outside. And this year it was all about joy. So I did, this is their logo. I should turn off this background because that's the big part. And I knew like I wanted to trace the kids and make it like all fun and crazy. And there's a theory actually behind each of these joys. Like there's 6 different, it's K5 through 5. And so there's 6 renditions, which means there's a CMYK and a blue, orange, green outline, and each one has a different one is on top, second, third, then black is in the background with a big one. So I've been thinking like all this stuff. I went online, I found, as I teach you, I found a ton of different fonts, and I found the font that fits the funness, and I still have to work on this. And I was like, I can't, what do I want to do for a background? What do I want to do for background? What do I want to do for the background? And then I was like, oh, I want to do a dot. Like I love my halftone dot, but I want to do it different. I want to do it color. Like what can I do? And so I went online and I typed in the YouTube how to make a halftone pattern in Illustrator. It is a 2-step process and it's super cool. And you can change all the parameters. And so I just picked my color background that I wanted, had it create a halftone pattern. Isn't that cool? And this is just like experimentation and playing. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. This is all accidental, which I love. If you push yourself to try weird things, sometimes you get accidentals turn into beautiful things. And then I wanted to mute it. Like, that was way too busy, right? Way too busy with the joy and all this stuff on it. But it's got the CMYK. It's got like all the colors I'm using for the most part. And then I muted it just by putting, I think this is on, if you grab that, it's on multiply. You know, you can do that stuff in Illustrator. And then when you add the fun stuff, the pictures have been blurred for the kids' anonymity. No, I'm just kidding. It's because they're not linked. Like, then it starts having fun, and there's a texture back there, but it's not too much of a texture, and it's fun, and it's dotty. And I can go crazy. Like, this is for kids' yearbook. Like, it doesn't have to be great. I mean, I want it to be fun. I want them to remember, but each kid is actually on the cover of their yearbook somewhere. But it was all experimentation, and it was all because I was going somewhere. I had this idea for a couple of weeks, and it took me a while for them to get me the information and all this kind of weird stuff. But then I was like, it needs something. Just a plain background wasn't cutting it. Like, that wasn't cutting it. I was like, oh, it needs something. And then I was like, dot pattern. Like, what? Now it's a pattern, but it's real subtle, and it's got a lot of differences in it. Like, let's do that. That might be fun for kids. And just pushing it. You know what I mean? And I did something similar. I hope it doesn't save it too much. I have another page. Oh, is it? No, it's not InDesign. I think I saved it onto my computer because it was kind of big. It was stalling up. Yeah, it was stalling up my system. But I did something similar. And it was just like, what if I try that? Okay, I'm going to go online and find out how to do that thing. And that works with these logos. Like, look online, try stuff out, have some fun, push yourself. Like, don't do the normal. How do you get good at it? I'm not good at that. I'm not good. Practice. You just practice. Force yourself. Force yourself into that idea of like, I need to do 30 drawings. I want to do 30 versions. Oh, 30, that's a lot. 30 versions, it'd take you 1 hour watching TV. And you just write it 30 times, 30 different times. See what comes out. None of them can be the same. Play around. And it doesn't take time. I think like that it goes back to that like, oh, this is going to take a lot of time. It may, but the other one is when you get in that flow state. Somebody just post about flow state on or it's in the readings. Flow state, get in it. It's lovely when you get in a flow state when you're designing. I did it with that joy stuff that I was working on. Still feeling like crap yesterday, but I'm like, I gotta get this done. It's due. And I put on a movie in the background, and before I knew it, I was like, what? The movie stopped. Like, sometimes it just turns into I just need background noise. And it was 2.5 hours later, I was like, oh, I'm almost done. Oh, God, this is great. You know? So do what you can. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I love this kind of assignment where it gets you a lot of creative freedom to do whatever you need to do. As always, let me know if you have any questions, comments, and or concerns. I'll check things as soon as I can. Yeah. So take care. Thank you very much. And if I don't talk to you on discussion boards, I will see you next week, Tuesday. All right. Bye-bye.